知道。
知道。
那知道。
唔擔心。
我不担心，我希望他在学校里使用。
我觉得非常应该。
因為佢會俾到好多思路同埋觀點。
它可能作为我的一个辅助，可以帮助我更快的搜集信息。
因为它排大纲排的逻辑很清晰，而且你跟着它写的话不会混乱。
The use of ChatGPT in Hong Kong's education sector has stirred up controversy due to its powerful capabilities. However, the question remains, is it a legitimate concern? In this episode of Hong Kong Enquirer, I go on a journey to explore if ChatGPT should be used in Hong Kong's educational institutions. Hello, Alisa. Thanks for coming. And today we'll have a little competition. Do you want to join? Okay, let's go. I'll explain. I start my journey with Alisa, a 10-year-old schoolgirl who knows nothing about journalism. I'm curious, can a 10-year-old school pupil really compete with me at my job? I set her the task of writing on short news story using ChatGPT, while I got to work to write my own version. The story is for our website, so I asked our website editor, Philip, to look at both and decide which one he wanted to publish. I didn't tell him one was created by a 10-year-old and her artificial intelligent helper. As editor, which do you choose for the website?
I would normally choose this one, but in this case, I think I choose the second one.
Why?
This is more like government saying something, announcing that there's a new policy. But here, you hear it from someone, a person who's actually affected and who's actually looking for work. As an editor, I would say that which would come first. I mean, I would maybe take this first and then add the details from the second copy to the first copy later on.
So Alisa did not outright me, but Philip would have been quite happy to have published her article. It's early days for ChatGPT, but my job is safe for now, So I had established that school children can do amazing things with this new technology. But what does that mean? For that, I went to visit Principal Zhu to try and understand what this means for teaching at schools.
ChatGPT 咧本身有佢嘅好處啦，但亦都有佢嘅弊端嘅。好似平常在校園裏邊咧學習，包括咗啲中英文嘅寫作啦，佢個解難能力啊等等呢啲咧。因為咧喺好多時候咧，同學仔如果過分依賴咗 ChatGPT 咧，佢又唔經過思考啊，好多答案直接攞落嚟咧，佢都唔知道嗰答案嘅真偽，所以咧好多時咧佢窒礙咗咧學生個思考能力啦，佢即係執筆寫作能力啦，同埋佢互相係個溝通啊，互相嘅增長嘅能力咧，亦都減低咗嘅。所以咧喺嗰個過程裏邊咧，我哋要提醒翻學生啦，你係有呢個作為參考，不能夠完全信任呢個人工智能嘅。所以咧係我哋覺得喺小學階段咧，我哋係可以用一個開放性嘅態度嘅，可以去試去應用，但係必須要加以呢個教導。
As I was going about my investigation, a message popped up on my phone. It was Philip. That's something highly likely to happen to ChatGPT, because ChatGPT's data is up until September 2021. So we should be very careful if we use information from ChatGPT. Better to double check.
當一啲嘅科技咧發出信息唔一定係完全準確嘅時候咧，啲學生咧都會選擇信任佢嘅。點解咧？佢會覺得咧呢啲 ChatGPT 呢類嘅人工智能咧會好先進啦、好科技化啦，覺得乜都係啱咁。咁當然其實唔係嘅，好多科技嘅限制啦，同埋佢做呢個例如 ChatGPT 啦，人工智能咧，佢有啲局限性，有啲錯誤地方咧，我哋一定要讓學生咧係知道唔一定係要相信晒佢嘅，要都作為參考之用。咁至於有啲嘅政治人物啦或公眾人物咧，會應用咗呢個 ChatGPT 咧做一啲嘅政治嘅宣傳啊，或者啲推廣咧，好關鍵在於提供嘅信息是不是真實啦。當然，如果係真實嘅，梗係冇問題啦。但係如果佢借住呢個途徑嚟到去誤導咗啲學生、公眾人物咧，咁就好大件事啦。因為咧會影響到整個社會啊、國家嘅發展。咁所以咧，我覺得就話一定要提升咗學生佢嘅資訊素養啦。
So in schools, ChatGPT is a threat to children's understanding of basic writing skills, amongst other things. But What about universities? Surely, universities must see the huge potential of this new technology. Time to go back to school. So here we are at Hong Kong Baptist University. I used to study my journalism course here. I would like to see if things are different now for journalism students with the advent of ChatGPT. I meet Robin Ewing, Director of International Journalism at Hong Kong Baptist University.
I mean, we all had to deal with this when Google search came out, or internet searches, or Wikipedia, right? We were all afraid Wikipedia was going to ruin students' ability to go out and find different source material, and there's always flaws in Wikipedia. And that hasn't happened, right? The students are still taking the ethical road by, genuinely wanting to learn. So it's not like all of a sudden, oh no, students can cheat now. They've always been able to cheat, right? It's just a new method that we as educators, just have to learn about and find best practices for.
After Elisa had done well in writing a simple news report, I was keen to know if ChatGPT could pass a master's university exam. I used ChatGPT to answer questions Robin had sent me for a final paper. The answers looked impressive to me, but I was keen to get Robin's take on it.
So this is an exam on long-form journalism. ChatGPT definitely has a good understanding of what long-form journalism is. It's well written, the English is perfect, the grammar is perfect, and it had good examples. But there are some flaws. And in particular, like the biggest flaw is for the fourth question. I asked it to include direct quotes, and it fabricated those quotes. It made them up. So ChatGPT would actually fail this exam for unethical behavior. But take that question away, and it did a pretty good job, actually.
It says 100% AI generated for that.
In my conversation with Robin, she showed me two tools capable of detecting text generated by ChatGPT. Then I used them to do some tests for Elisa's news report, which was 100% generated by ChatGPT. Surprisingly, one shows that the text is likely human-written, but may include 46.5% of its content generated by AI. The other one tells me your text is likely to be written entirely by a human. So I'm guessing the AI detection tools still have some way to go. So how will teachers figure out if students write on their own or write using ChatGPT?
Here in Hong Kong, the majority of our students are not native English speakers. And then also when you work with a student for an entire semester, or in some cases I work with students over 2 years, I am very much familiar with their voice, with the way they write. Every person has an individual voice when writing. So I can very clearly see when it's gone from a student's individual personal voice to something written in kind of the generic ChatGPT style. It's very easy to see.
All this has left me a little confused. On the one hand, the tool seems to give students who use it an unfair advantage. But on the other, this is not something that is going to go away, and the schools and universities need to embrace it. I asked the director of Center for Education Innovation at Hong Kong University of Science and Technology for some guidance.
When it first appeared, a lot of people were focusing on whether or not students will use it to cheat, right? So the teacher's role was more or less thinking about, well, how can we make sure that it's their own work and limit the use? But now, as we're exploring things, we're starting to see, well hold on a second, the chatbot itself can also have a role. So in this sense, it could be a co-designer with the teacher, it can be a study buddy with students, and so on. So the teacher's role starts to act more as a facilitator. We fully embrace the use of tools in school, mostly because we see that a lot of the benefits that it will bring to teaching and learning. We feel that it's our responsibility to embrace it, but embrace it responsibly, in the sense that we help train students to understand its benefits, but also its implications and some potential harm that it might do. What we need to do in education is we need to first come up with guidelines and policies and guardrails to protect students, so that they understand the implications, ethical implications, and the potential for misinformation. But we also need to set up training programs for teachers so that they can be AI ready, right? And what I mean by AI ready is understanding the potential uses of AI, how it can help benefit students to see beyond just what they're learning in the classroom, but how it can be expanded.
I have witnessed both the abilities and limitations of ChatGPT. While there remain potential issues with students cheating, proper utilization of this technology presents even greater potential. What do you think? Please have your say in the comments below.